You're watching Conscious Mind Tripping with your host, Audrey Newmont.
Hello, it is Wednesday night, and I'm telling you, I'm so excited. Look who's in the house. Dr. Nancy Sachs is in the house. This is my doctor. This is like the lady who makes this healthy, vibrant, energetic. And when there's these challenges that come up, she's the one that gets me the solutions. And tonight, she's going to have the solutions to you. Welcome, Nancy. Love having you in the house.
Thank you so much. I'm so excited to be here, especially in person.
I know.
My goodness.
The last time I had you on, it was on that double thing, and it was like, it's so much nicer having you in person, and your energy is like, But before we get busy talking with you, I have to do a couple of announcements because we have stuff that's coming up. So tomorrow night, you might not have been there. In fact, I know you weren't there because I know who was there. Last night, I started my first spiritual and mental alchemy class, and I have it on video, and I'm going to post it on Facebook and on YouTube after this. So if you would like to, you can watch that and then jump in tomorrow night. And I can guarantee you that if you watch it tonight, there will be something in your life that will shift and make things a little better for you. Almost guaranteed from what that went on last week. So tomorrow, spiritual alchemy, mental spiritual alchemy at 7 o'clock, either in person at Newmont Center, or you can join us on Zoom. So if you're anywhere in the world, we'd love to have you join me. And then we have a whole bunch of other great workshops and classes, all different kinds of things that are coming up, but I don't want to get into all of that tonight because so if you go to newmontcenter.net, there's a calendar page and there's an actual calendar. So if you click on there, you'll see the event. And you can also, if you're going to be Zooming tomorrow night, you can Zoom in from that link. So without further ado, I would like to jump into our conversation. You and I had a nice conversation yesterday.
Absolutely.
And it seems like we always do. I could talk with you all day. So when
I have a crush on her, actually.
It's mutual. It's mutual. It's because I'm a Libra. That's a part of it, right?
Yes, it is. I have a mad Libra female crush thing going.
I like it. I like it.
I appreciate
it when women can appreciate each other like we do.
Yes.
You know,
yes.
Sometimes people find that weird or whatever they think, and it's like, it's part of loving another person. And I think it's so important to be in love with people, you know?
And also celebrate people's victories and all the goodness in them, so that I think people get into that lack mentality, like if things are good for you, then there's not enough left for me. But I love celebrating you and the center and all your classes, and you guys do so much. There's just so much going on all the time.
we do.
It's amazing.
It's a lot to keep track of. In fact, if anybody knows anybody out there, I think we're getting to the point where Nick and I need an assistant. So if you are that kind of person, or if you know that person who's looking to be an assistant or an intern for somebody like us, we're just getting started with the looking. So give us a call. So we had such a conversation yesterday about all these different topics. So we want to bring up the topics with you. And if you're in the chat, along with the Golden Rule, hi, Golden Rule. If you're, I know who Golden Rule is. If you are in the chat and you have a question for us, feel free to jump in there and ask whatever it is that you'd like to ask. But in the meantime, we're going to get started talking. So I think the first thing that we decided to talk about is a big thing. A big thing. So you work with a lot of different clients.
Yes.
And you said you bring in like how many clients new a week?
I see about 6 people a day. I see about 4 new people a week. And the new, with a new person, I spend more time. So I'm unable to see a lot of people, which is why I have the long wait list.
Exactly, and you do have that long wait list. And I want to say something about the difference between you and going to like a medical doctor in a like an office, like the people who work at different hospitals and whatnot. When you go to you are taking that time to get to know us. You're doing the emotional part, and you're doing that part where you're doing the energy work, the energy healing. So you're reading that. And then, like, for instance, in the mental part, you had an experience with somebody I know. We don't need to name names. But in that talking to them, they kept having a struggle with their physical parts, like their cycle. And you know who the person is.
Yes.
Can you explain like what you do in session and why you take so long? And it's a blessing, because I'm telling you, go to a doctor, you're in and out, and the next one's there. And it's like they only have enough time to say, what, you have this, here's your medicine.
Well, the whole model is completely different when it comes to holistic, because many people go to the doctor with a symptom, and it's sort of like the end symptom of the domino game. Let's just imagine health were a domino game. I'm here to figure out what starts the game, and oftentimes they're going in for the headache or the hormonal issues or the anxiety or the insomnia or the chronic fatigue, and that gets band-aided with a medication. My whole goal is to really dig deep and figure out what the root cause is and what started this whole process going, fix that root cause, and then therefore the symptoms end up going away. And most of the time, not only do the symptoms go away, but also people just feel better mentally, emotionally, physically, spiritually. They get their energy back, they get their motivation back. So oftentimes people will come back. Let's just say they had come in originally for, pain in their body or migraines or digestive issues. And they'll come back and they'll say to me, yeah, not only is my gut better, but I've been sleeping better, and I'm more patient with my kids, and all these other things that might have transpired that just shows that they're overall more balanced. That's the goal. In the holistic model, to treat the whole person, not just the physical ailment. And I'm definitely not treating diseases. I'm treating people.
Yeah.
So if they've gotten a diagnosis, the diagnosis might have meaning to me in where I'm going to go with it, but I, generally speaking, am treating the whole person.
Let's talk for a second about that scenario, since the person's anonymous, and I happen to know that they don't mind us talking about this.
Okay.
So they come in and they're having issues with their cycle, and can you lead them through what actually happened and how you figured out the mental, emotional part of it?
Yes. Well, everybody that comes in gets hooked up to a machine that I have called the SCIO, and it is a bioenergetic device based on magnets and frequencies. It's able to scan the whole body, so I'm able to check to see what's going on, where the stressors and imbalances are, within about 11,000 frequencies that represent everything, your organs, your glands, your hormone levels, nutrition levels, allergens, toxins, any kind of opportunistic organism such as viruses, parasites, bacteria, overgrowth of yeast, any kind of mental, emotional traumas, post-traumatic stress. I can pick up so many different things. The beautiful thing is I've been doing it for over 30 years, so I've become sort of intuitive and one with the information on the machine. Based on what I see from a body scan, I'm going to pick up a lot of information. But not only that, this whole process of talking to people while I'm treating them, and it's almost like a therapy session, let's just say. I pick up a lot of information that is so important, and they're nuanced things, as I'm sure you do in your sessions, because it's not just what people say, it's also how they say it. It's also important in my world of holistic that I'm putting puzzle pieces together and connecting dots. So a lot of people think that well, I have digestive distress and it started in December, so it must be something from December. But oftentimes I can link things back to a trauma or a stressor that happened 10 years ago or when they were 5 years old.
Wow.
So in the particular case that you're talking about, I was able to discern some things from the machine. We did some therapies to balance some physical ailments out. And in the process, some other emotional stressors came up. And then I took out the famous book, the Metaphysical Anatomy book.
I love that book.
Yeah. And just putting the puzzle pieces together. What's also so, I guess, soul satisfying for me is when I say something to a patient who's sitting in the chair across from me, and it resonates so deeply, they literally will have an aha moment, and you can see it in their body. Mm-hmm. It's like, oh, that's right. Or in the case of many women who come into me who are, let's say, 45 years old, they're working mothers, they're trying to juggle a million things, and they're burned out, and they're not sleeping, and they've got brain fog like crazy. And I start talking to them about how they grew up. And so many of us don't associate our past with what's going on today, but it's super important. So I'll say, well, how did you grow up? Oh, I grew up with a lot of stress, or I had a parent who was an alcoholic, or this or that or the other thing. And then I happily explain, because that's part of my passion, is to educate people. I happily explain that, well, maybe you grew up in fight flight, so therefore your nervous system got wired a certain way. And because of that, 30 years later or 40 years later, you're crashing. It's not today's problem. It's a problem of 40 years of fight flight. So it's super, super important to get people to connect the dots. And in that particular case that you're talking about, it's more profound for the people to figure it out and to almost get their own aha moment than it is for me.
And I think she did. Since this person is anonymous, I want to get a little bit more specific, because it's important to realize how subtle things are.
Yeah.
You know, and so she was having problems with her system, her cycle. And in the whole conversation, I'm going to just give it the nutshell of it. She realized that there was a part of her where she kept thinking, I don't want to have a baby. I don't want to get pregnant.
Right.
Like she had literally said to me, I don't think I want to have children. I don't want to have a baby. So when we're thinking that, and then we're feeling that went along with it, your body's going, oh, okay, let's stop. Mm-hmm. Let's stop things. Mm-hmm. Let's back things up, or whatever it was that her system did. Mm-hmm. And so once she had that awareness, and you did what you did with the energy and in the conversation in particular, there was a part of it, I'm sure, in the session, she had a aha moment, because mm-hmm. that's what it sounded like when she told me. And then not long afterwards, like very soon after, her body started realigning, and it's like, oh, I'm in the, and I said the thing, I'm in the flow of life.
Oh,
you know?
That's beautiful.
Yeah, because there was a part of it, it's like, I don't want. Yes. Whenever we say I don't want,
yes.
there goes your attention.
Right.
And there went her body.
Right.
Right?
Exactly. From the mouths of babes, most of the time people will unknowingly give me their root problem. It's also very important to understand in the holistic model, I'm trying to pay attention to a lot of things. Sometimes people have their own blockages, and they'll tell me without knowing that they're telling me when it came up or why. Sometimes people just don't feel lovable. They don't know that consciously, but they took on that belief system when they were young. That's your realm. And it turns into a health problem. Louise Hay, the queen of connecting the mental emotional causes to physical ailments, taught me so much, 30, 40 years ago, about how when we have a belief system, it can often turn into a physical ailment. Mm-hmm. That's my realm, where I need to kind of rewind what they were thinking and help people understand that they set this up a long time ago. And I'm a perfect example. When I was young, I had a very difficult upbringing, and I had no voice. And I manifested thyroid disease, and I had my thyroid removed at 13, very young. But coming to understand everything I came to understand later, my throat chakra was shut down. I couldn't speak up for myself. And that's exactly what the Louise Hay mental, emotional to physical causation connection is. Mm-hmm. So if I had had the tools that many of you have now, I wouldn't have had to manifest this whole dramatic scene where I had to have my thyroid removed. But it did lead me to wanting to help and heal others, and to understanding that the Western medical model is a little funky for many of us. And the holistic model is the holistic model is a lot more, I guess, there's deeper fundamental healing that can go on in the holistic model. And also for those of us that are more sensitive, more empathic, it's a much better fit, which, I fall into that. And I'm sure many of your clients, many of my clients are more on the sensitive side.
Yeah. Well, we just keep sending our clients to you because they are in line with that.
I appreciate that.
But now she's booked probably till May or June.
Yep.
So let's get to this thing that we wanted to talk about, because I think it's wildly important, especially in this moment where we want to talk about viruses. And right now there's this whole idea about this new thing, X, I think it's called Virus X or whatever the heck that is. So let's hear it from your perspective and get that awareness and understanding for ourselves, but also have you share with us some of the things for us to do to put up a bubble of immunity so those viruses don't take hold.
Well, the best medicine is always prevention. Always prevention. So anything you can do to prevent getting sick and keeping your immune system hardy is first and foremost, especially this time of year. And with the weather changes and with chemtrails, which we can get into later, and, like a more toxic environment, toxic food, stressors, we have to be really mindful. Prevention can look like a lot of things. You can take an immune booster on a daily basis. We are exposed to people's spike proteins from their vaccines, such as like the flu vaccine. If somebody gets a vaccine for the flu, they might actually get sick with the flu. And that virus might get transferred to somebody else. But that's not actually a naturally occurring virus. And that's kind of one of the bigger issues with the viruses that we're dealing with these days, is that they're not all naturally occurring. Some of them are mutated, some of them are created in a laboratory, and the body doesn't always know what to do with them. So prevention being first and foremost, we want to take immune boosters, vitamin C, glutathione, elderberry. I'm really liking this time of year taking things like spirulina and doing a lot of greens that are very nourishing, eating well. It's the time of year where you want to get into the warm foods, like lots of soups, lots of stews, lots of things that are more just like nourishing. Mm-hmm.
What about zinc and L-glutamine?
Zinc is great. Glutamine is gut healing. I'd say glutathione is a little bit more beneficial, but glutamine is great. Zinc and C and quercetin, those were used a lot throughout the pandemic, and they're very valuable. I think it's kind of what works for you. I have a formula at the office that's called Nucleomune. That's my go-to, and I take it twice a day during this time of year, morning and breakfast, dinner. But I have some of my patients that do well with other formulas, or they'll do a lot of mushrooms, or they'll do other things that are beneficial, healing in many, many ways. So what I want to say to that is do what works for you. Try and eat well, try and get sleep, try and stay hydrated, and just nourish this time of year. If you do feel like you've been exposed to something, there are lots of things to do. I'm trained as a classical homeopath, so I love homeopathics to take at the first sign of anything. Drops, like I have one called Immune System Power. I have other ones for viruses, and they're very, very, very effective. If for some reason you do end up getting sick, there's lots of formulas that can minimize the duration of your sickness. There's classic Chinese formulas like yin chow. It's also called, it's the famous cold and flu formula, Chinese. I carry all of these things on my website, holistichaven.com, or you can always call in and I can create a package for you. But these things are amazing because I was actually exposed to the flu a couple weeks ago and I started feeling achy. I took a homeopathic flu formula called Guna Flu. It's an Italian formula and it's got that famous thing in it that is well known from boron called oscillococcinum. But in any case, it has some other ingredients in it as well. And I was able to kick out this flu that was, I had fever and I was achy and I had stomach upset and I was able to kick it out in 2 days.
That's awesome.
So, the duration is also really important because what's happening a lot of times now with these viruses is they're so hardy. They get into your system and they don't go away. So people can have something for 2, 3, 4 weeks and it can linger. And not only that, they get better. And the minute they start going out and doing anything, they reinfect.
Right.
And the other thing about these viruses is that they're so hardy that they know how to mutate inside your body so they can actually reinfect. You can reinfect with the same virus. So you're not getting sick with something new. You're actually getting a second round of this thing.
I did not know that.
Yeah, and that's one of the things I'm seeing big time with this December, January so far, is that these things will linger, and most, I would say 8 out of 10 people are telling me they got sick a second time.
Jeez.
Yeah. You did.
Well, I didn't get sick a second time. Mine lasted for like 4 or 5 weeks. It was a long time.
Yeah.
It was a long time.
And it did some different.
Yeah, it was a little.
It was a little strange.
But it was a cold the whole time.
I see.
I did take a COVID test and it wasn't that. It was just a really deep cold and like deep in the chest kind of thing. So I did all of the things, but I wanted to mention one thing as well, and this is, what I do with my clients. It's like there's that part of it where people are anxious about getting sick.
Yes.
They're anxious about, oh my God, I don't want to get the thing, or I don't want to, their mind goes to, I don't want, and they get anxious about it. So when we're feeling those feelings of anxiety, stress, worry, all of those, we're literally not building our immune system. So you can take all the supplements, but then you're worrying, and that's creative in your body. And when you have these things, it's like somebody I know recently, they were having whatever, and I said, trust in your body's ability to heal itself. So like when you do get something, like for instance, I had that cold, I just kept trusting my body's ability and kept knowing it's a cough and I can deal. And I'll just let myself be down more than I'm usually and allow my body to be in the healing process, staying as calm as possible. So yeah, I had a cough and all of that, and it was unfortunate, but it wasn't, one of those things that's really kind of unmanageable. So keeping your emotions as calm as possible so that your healing is happening, the immune system is getting boosted rather than not. I think that's huge.
And let's not forget, viruses have been around our whole planet. We're supposed to be exposed to viruses. We are supposed to build immunity towards things. Not being afraid of the virus and almost embracing the fact that, every couple of years you might get sick. This makes you stronger. And I think that there was such a fear model for the last few years, and people wanted to be bubbled. That's a perfect word. Bubbled from it, and that's not really the best thing. Babies, they crawl on the floor. Why do they crawl on the floor? They put dirty things in their mouths. They're building an immune system. That's supposed to happen. We don't want to be, we don't want to have hand sanitizer and be too over sanitized. We want to be able to live in this environment and be hardy enough to, we get sick once in a while, but we fight it off. And like Audrey said, almost embrace it. Like, trust your body. Know that it knows what it's doing. You can't insulate yourself from everything all the time, nor do you want to. But again, prevention is the key. And things like the coronavirus have been around forever. It's a common virus. It's what we've been exposed to for colds. So knowing that, it takes the sting away from something that's so scary. Also, when our body is stressed, we respond differently to everything. Food, viruses, bacteria, parasites. We want to almost lean into things differently and embrace. When we do that and our body's more relaxed, we will get better sooner.
Yeah.
Yeah.
When you're talking about, you can look at the statistics, and I'm gonna get somewhere a little maybe challenging at the moment, but I think it's important to bring it up, because when you were first talking about this with the viruses, there's man-made viruses that are made in a lab. So that novel coronavirus that we have had forever isn't the same thing as the thing that is grown in the lab, that is put out there. And it's important to discern the difference. And when people are taking those tests, it's not discerning the difference in the test. So you can have a regular kind of flu, or you can have this other thing, or it can pick it up that you have a cold that they're claiming is this. So the tests, I don't think, are 100% accurate. So you really have to go with the actual symptoms that you're having. Like, for instance, if you're losing your sense of taste or smell, it's more of the lab guy, right?
Yes.
And then there's another important thing that I wanted to bring up about this while we're talking about it. And if anybody wants to, they can ask me for this video. There's a lot of excellent information. If you do have that one that takes away the taste and the smell, believe it or not, nicotine.
Yes, nicotine patches, nicotine gum. 3 days of wearing a patch or doing the gum generally brings the smell and the taste back. For hearing, I think it's 8 days. And there is something in nicotine. First of all, you can get a more pure patch that doesn't have a lot of chemicals in it. I believe you can buy it on Amazon. There's one called Rugby, and it's just pure nicotine. Nicotine is not addictive. It's some of the other things that come along, like toxic tag-alongs with what they put in cigarettes and things, and vaping. Dr. Ardis talks a lot, Ardis, he talks a lot about the nicotine. But for some people who've tested positive to COVID, that's something that can get them well sooner as well. I'm not an expert at that, but it's one of the things that's out there.
Well, for my friends that have tried it, you don't have to be an expert. Well, one of the things that you do want to pay attention to if you do the nicotine is to do a very small dose. Mm-hmm. If you do too heavy a dose, it can actually make you sicker. So you have to do something that is like very minimal, whether it's the gum or the patch. And these things are not told. I mean, I just found this out not too long ago, and it was that Dr. Ardis. I watched that video.
Yeah.
And it's just fascinating.
Yeah.
So, again, there's another solution. And nicotine, I mean, isn't nicotine like from an herb?
Nicotine's from a plant.
Yes.
Yes.
So, again, these are
plant medicine.
Plant medicine.
Actually, the Native Americans revered the nicotine plant. And when it was used properly in the Native American culture, it was not taken advantage of. But like many things in Native cultures, like the poppy seed, and it can turn into a business, and they can chemicalize it and farm it. But yeah, it's a plant. It's plant medicine. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I personally, I think plant medicine is amazing. Mama Gaia knows exactly how to heal us.
I agree.
Whether it's that or growing her own, crystals and, balancing her energy and ours with these kind of things. I mean, we could go into this subject very deep, but I want to...
I agree.
I want to, while we're talking about different kinds of medicine, you and I were talking at the very beginning of the show about Edgar Cayce. And I want to talk about that a little bit more while we're in the subject of plant medicine. And can you talk a little bit about that? Or
Oh, absolutely, because it's a passion of mine. In my work, I really marry ancient wisdom with cutting-edge science. My machine and a lot of the things that I use are cutting edge. But there is nothing like the wisdom of the planet or plants or Edgar Cayce is known as well, he was a channeler. He was a healer. And so many of the things that he said and talked about were they were cutting edge at the time, but he was tapping into ancient wisdom for sure. Castor oil comes from the castor bean. It's not an oil that you would want to ingest, but it was an oil that he talked a lot about to use on your body for healing, for pain and inflammation. It also helps to draw out toxins. So castor oil packs at this moment in time can be a beauty treatment, it can be a detox, and it can be phenomenal for pain. For instance, menstrual cramps. You can put the castor oil on a cotton flannel, organic hopefully, non-bleached. You put that cotton flannel right on your area that's cramping. You put maybe a little baggie over it and a heating pad, and it stops the cramping, it stops the pain, and it helps to draw out some of the inflammation. You can put it over your liver. A lot of people use it for liver cleansing. You could put it on a painful joint or your back, for instance. And a lot of women are now using castor oil as beauty treatment. It helps to grow your hair, so you can put it on your scalp. It's kind of a thick oil, so it's not wonderful it feels sticky, but you could put it on your scalp. You could put it on the ends of your hair. You could put it on your eyebrows, eyelashes. And we just found out together from somebody very beautiful
she is.
that you could put it on your skin, on your neck, under your eyes, and it helps with wrinkles. So let's try it.
I'm going to, actually. And there is a place, it's queenofthorns.com, and they have and she even has the packs that you can use. You can buy them from her. So it's the pack already made. You put the castor oil on it, and you just use it however you use it. Curious question. I have a client of mine who's got some very serious arthritis in her hands. Would it be good for that?
Absolutely. Absolutely.
So another curious question, and it's not the castor oil, it's another plant that's grown in the ground. Pot, marijuana,
Hemp,
that's it. So they have oils now where you can use it on your body parts, and it helps to, like for instance, if somebody has arthritis, or putting it on your knees. I had a moment where I was having issues with my feet, so I put it on the bottom of my feet, and it really helped. And then I had another one that I had put on my legs, and I found it very useful. So,
Well, the active component in the hemp plant that you're speaking of is a cannabinoid. There are the ones like you can isolate different cannabinoids. The most popular right now are CBD, CBG, CBN, and there are different cannabinoids used for different things. Some of them are for pain, inflammation, sleep, anxiety. They're phenomenal. The reason why plant medicine is so profound, and this has been known for decades, is you can go into the rainforest and find a plant and know that the natives have been using it for something, and the scientists take that plant, they take it to the laboratory, they isolate the alkaloids and the constituents inside the plant, and they figure out scientifically why it works, even though the natives have known it forever. The thing, I want to get back to CBD and the cannabinoids, but I also want to say that there's something that's been known for centuries. It's called the doctrine of signatures. Many plants have been used in indigenous cultures and by natives and just by folklore, by grandma, by great-grandma, by the witch in the woods, because it looked like a body part. For instance, there's a plant called eyebright, and the plant ends up, the leaves look like an eye.
Oh, wow.
And you use it for, eye infection. There's a plant, there's many things in nature that look like the organ that it's going to help, such as a walnut. When you open a walnut
The brain.
and you look at it, it looks like the brain, right?
Love that.
So nature, the earth has offered us so much wonderful things. And when it comes to the hemp plant, there are some components of the hemp plant that are psychoactive with the THC that give you a lot more high. And then there's some components of the hemp plant that are great oils, like hemp oil. There are hemp seeds. And then there's the CBDs. And the cannabinoids are wonderful because we have inside of our body something called the endocannabinoid system. And this endocannabinoid system is part of our autonomic nervous system. And I know that's a big word, but basically we have a part of our nervous system that sort of lights up like little lights, and it innervates and lights up our digestive system, a lot of automatic functions, things that we don't have to think about. Like I don't have to think about raising my hand. It just happens. I don't have to think about speaking. It just happens. Those are automatic. We breathe automatically. So the thing about cannabinoids that we're finding more and more and more is that it's helpful for our world right now because everybody is so stressed. There's so much inflammation. There's so much toxicity. There's so much insomnia. And Mother Nature is offering us a plant to help nourish that part of our nervous system to calm down. So it's a win-win. And CBD was sort of the first one that came out. Then I think CBG is the one that's the best for sleep, CBN, and there's going to be a lot more cannabinoids that they're going to be able to isolate. And I think it's wonderful. It's not for everybody, but no herb, no supplement is for everybody. I might do okay with zinc, and it might make you completely nauseous.
Yeah.
So this is another thing that I teach in my practice is figure out what works for your body. I love to get people well enough and balanced enough so that they can pay attention to their own needs. And you've discovered that because you've had some things that made you feel so out of balance. And now you can tell when they're doing chemtrails or when you've been exposed to toxins or eaten the wrong food that you don't feel well.
Yeah,
so,
my body is real sensitive now, and I see clearly. And which brings us to the next thing. You've got Mama Gaia and all the and by the way, when you're taking the herbs from the earth, whatever the herb is, people don't get the part because we haven't been taught this, but everything is energy. And when you're getting the actual energy of the earth in whatever form and you're using that energy, it works with the energy of our body. So it is a marriage that is aligned a lot of times rather than, like, say for instance, you were talking about people with anxiety. The amount of people I've worked with who are on whatever pharmaceutical, and it's like, but you're still anxious. Well, I'd be much more if I didn't have this. And it's like, well, how do you know? And how do you know that if you didn't take something else, that would alleviate the whole thing?
Right.
Because when you're taking something that is a man-made thing, it's not the same energetic, and you can take it and it'll have an effect, right, in some other part of your body.
Oh, absolutely. And not only that, but it's really just a temporary Band-Aid. What we're talking about when you work with plant medicine or you go for the deeper healing is permanent freedom from the limitation that anxiety brings.
Right.
What is health? Health is freedom from limitation. If you have to worry about always being anxious, or if you have to worry in social situations, or if you need to worry or anticipate an event, that has now limited your life. So plants and getting the right protocols that personalized for you, which is what I do in my practice, is more profound healing. It's healing at a deeper level. It's healing in a more permanent it's a more permanent way, but also more empowered way, because oftentimes when people are taking meds, they're giving away their power to that medication. They're giving away that power, their power to that prescription, to the doctor. when we do the plant medicine, or when we do our supplement protocols or things that have been personalized for us, we take back our power. We start trusting our body again, going back to what you said, and it's a deeper, more profound, more permanent fix.
Yep.
So, this is a really important aspect of not only holistic medicine, but where we want to be, where we want to go. Like the things that you do for people, you give them tools to use at home. You're with your brain 24/7. You can't reach out to a therapist all the time.
Which is why I do that.
Yeah, you've got to have tools at home. So I think using plant medicine, using what nature has to give us, even using supplements. Look, supplements people can even get into supplement fatigue because they're taking this and that and the other thing. They're taking their D and their multi and their C and their zinc. Okay, I get it. But our earth has been tampered with. Our topsoil is not nourishing anymore. And with conventional farming, we've farmed out so much of the nutrients. And supplements are designed to supplement what we're not getting from our diet. And if you're not eating a perfect diet, even if you are eating a perfect diet, like I eat a perfect diet, 6 days a week, and I still supplement with things that I think I need at the time. And I love to supplement seasonally as well. Like right now is kidney season. In spring it's liver season. So in liver season we want to do more cleansing. In kidney season we want to do more nourishing. In summer we don't need as many supplements because we're eating more fresh fruits and veggies. So there's ways to really utilize supplements and plants and herbs in the right way. You don't have to take the same thing day in and day out all year. You can give it a rest. You can take what you need and give it a rest. So there's many ways to do this, but I think the CBD world is an amazing world. I think that there's going to be more offered to us with plants, and even ceremonial reverence for certain plants can be an interesting thing to look into and maybe tap into at some point. Not for everybody, but I think for some of us.
Like microdosing mushrooms.
Yeah, like that.
Yeah,
that's,
which is a whole nother. You know what? Next time you come in, we'll talk about that.
Oh boy,
that'll be fun.
Oh boy.
But let's go on to the next subject because I want to make sure we have enough time here. So the next subject that we wanted to talk about is something that's somewhat controversial, and it just is what it is. And I'm just going to say it. It's these chemtrails. Now, yesterday, the day before, it was massive. There were lines in the sky all over the place, and Audrey was feeling it in my body. I'm telling you, I was feeling it in my body. My joints, especially in my legs, get really creaky. They get achy. So if you found yourself over the last 3-4 plus days here in the LA area, or if you're in whatever area you're in and you see those lines in the sky, they're not contrails, they're chemtrails. And the government has admitted to them, and we want to acknowledge them because we want to know what to do with our bodies because we're all breathing it in. So when you have that where you're ingesting it, there's a part of it where we have to pull it back out of our system. So you don't get crazy with it. You don't go, oh my God, and you get, we're breathing, and it's not obviously killing us, but it is affecting the body, and it can loiter there. So we want to pull it back out of the body by
using binders. I don't know if you're all familiar with that term, but binders mean that you're going to take something that when you take it in the body, it binds to and chelates, like almost like a magnet. It attaches to the toxin, whether it's a heavy metal or some other toxin, like a mold toxin or Lyme or something. Binders have been used for centuries in various ways. A very well-known binder is just straight up charcoal. And there's many, many other things that can be used. Let me rewind and go back to what you were first talking about. First of all, our world has gotten more toxic. Whether you believe in chemtrails or not, it's just a fact that our food source, our soil, our air, our inside of our homes, our water, filled with more chemicals, more toxins than ever. The kids are at a disadvantage because they don't have as developed of an immune system and they're not as hardy. And some of us that have been on the planet longer didn't have so many chemicals to deal with when we were younger.
Unless you were a hairstylist.
Oh my goodness! And there are toxic professions like hairstyling. Yeah. One of the top three. Painters, people that are exposed to these chemicals all the time, day in and day out. A good rule of thumb is to do a detox. Every 3 months. You can do liver detox. You can do heavy metal detox. You can do it with supplements. You could do it with foods. You can fast. You can do a juice cleanse. There's so many ways to get there. Chlorella is another fabulous detox binder. Spirulina, these green foods, anything dark green will alkalize your body and help to detox. So, chemtrails. I believe that I'm seeing some things in the sky. The government has admitted to these things. I don't want to get too controversial, but it's really curious why they're doing it and why it happens so much and why after they do it, the weather changes. It was glorious blue skies for 3 days, right? Or for the last couple of weeks. It was cold here in Los Angeles, but it was beautiful. Blue sky, clear. And then there was loads of chemtrails the last couple of days that I could see in the sky. And now it's raining and damp and cold. So it's very curious. If it is true what I've read, the main constituent in chemtrails would be aluminum chloride, which is actually a heavy metal. Heavy metals get into our cells. It affects everybody differently. But if you have healthy detox pathways, healthy lymphatic system, healthy kidneys, healthy liver, it's usually not a problem to detoxify chemicals. If you have clogged detox pathways, your kidneys are overloaded, your liver is maxed out, your lymphatic system is not moving, not grooving. You do.
I do.
It's a weakness. And some of us are just genetically predisposed to not have great detox pathways.
You want to see what happens? I'll tell you, because I have it going on right now, I think. I have a clogged spot right here. I call this my pop-up. And when the chemtrails are rolling, a lot of times it's not up, it's down, and it's my body is like, I don't have this thing that like pops up. So that's the lymphatic system.
It sure is. And in fact, you can go online and look at some lymph exercises, and you can do tapping and dry brushing and jumping on the rebounder for lymph.
And the infrared.
And infrared sauna.
Infrared sauna is amazing. I'm going to be in there first thing tomorrow morning.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
and everybody has a something that will generally make them feel better. The lymphatic system, which is part of your circulatory system, is anaerobic, meaning it does not move unless you move. So movement is really crucial, whether it's going into the infrared sauna so you can sweat, or jumping on a rebounder, or just getting regular exercise.
Or all of the above.
Or all of the above. Drinking plenty of fluids.
The challenge with the exercise is I like to be outside to exercise, and those things are rolling.
Yes.
It's like, I can't do that.
Yes, of course.
So,
of course.
It's like you have to find those places to go inside.
Yes.
It's just, it's again, you just, all right, I can't do that. What's the solution?
Yes.
And continually looking to where is the thing that I can do.
And there's many hacks, and that's where the binders come in. Mm-hmm. If you think you've been exposed to chemtrails, or forget even chemtrails, if you feel like you've been exposed to heavy metals, or extra exposed to chemicals, or you ate really crappy over the holidays, or you drank too much alcohol, or you've been eating too much fast food, where you're definitely getting bad oils and just chemicals and junk, it's great to do a detox. It's great to do binders. And my favorite type of binder is usually a combination binder, and it'll say binder. Like I have a formula from Orthomolecular that's phenomenal called Z-Binder. I've got one from Research Nutritionals called Toxin Pull. And you take them on an empty stomach and they bind to the toxin or the chemical, and they pull it out through the kidneys. So you want to be sure to stay hydrated, drink lots of water while you're doing binders. So as Audrey said, it's not to be afraid to go outside or of the environment. The most important thing is pay attention to what's going on. Pay attention to how you feel. Know that there is a solution, and know that you can trust your body to get better, feel better, and get rid of the junk. And that's what I have to say about it. So you can do it preventatively. I generally have my patients detoxing 3 to 4 times a year with various things. We might do a heavy metal detox, and then we might do a parasite cleanse, liver cleanse, kidney cleanse. You can there's all paths lead to Rome when it comes to cleansing.
And to be clear, it's not a big deal to do. Like when you're doing the heavy metal cleanse. I mean, you've had me do it, and it's you're taking a couple of pills, you're doing whatever.
Right.
And your body it's no heavy side effects or things like that. It's
Right.
just,
You can function normally.
Yes.
You don't have to change your diet.
Though it is important to change your diet if you're not eating organic at this point, and if you're eating lots of processed food or even
Yes.
a fair
Yes.
amount of processed food, you want to switch over to a much more obviously what healthy diet looks like. I think we all kind of know that, even though we
Yes.
don't 100% live it all the time.
Yes. And I have a course on my website called How to Never Diet, and I try and teach people how to create their own eating lifestyle, which is sustainable forever. So you don't go off and on. You just basically eat healthy or paleo or Mediterranean or whatever works for you, based on figuring out what actually works for you. And that is generally, when it's sustainable, that's the best way to go.
Right.
I love giving my patients and my clients the out to have a cheat day or to have some fun. You don't have to be perfect 100% of the time, because that rigidity creates some stress in your body. But overall, eating more plant-based, for women that are hormonal of any age, protein is very, very important. But alkalizing your system with lots of plants, and making sure you're not loading yourself up with lots of toxic food or bad oils, and eating, like more of a Mediterranean paleo is the way that I usually lead people. I personally am what I call pegan. I'm more of a paleo vegan person, so very, very plant-based. But the older I get, the more protein I actually need, and the less carbs my body feels good with, so the less starches and carbs. Although I love my potatoes and my sweet potatoes, I don't do as many grains as I used to. So those are good rules of thumb. But people do get worried that they're going to have to change their whole life, and they can't go to work, and they're going to have to stay by the bathroom if they cleanse. It doesn't have to be that intense, and it doesn't have to be that harsh either.
There are a couple that are like that, though.
Yeah, there are.
Lemon and olive oil.
Oh my goodness, yes.
That
yes.
one?
Yeah, and the Epsom salt one, yeah, that can be wicked. But those are a little more old school. And again, we can embark on anything we want to embark on. If you really feel called to clean your body for this, because it's January and it's after the holidays, and I want to really get healthy in 2024, great, go for it. But I would caution you that if you're very, very toxic, just jumping right into something like that, you're going to have a lot of detox symptoms. That's why sometimes leading into it, you can first take some binders, you can nourish your kidneys and your liver and get those pathways open.
Smart.
Then take the herbs. Then you can, once you're cleaner, you can embark on something a lot more hardcore, shall we say, and you won't be hating life with headaches and rashes and being in the bathroom and nausea the same way you would have had you not set yourself up for success.
So smart. I've never heard anybody say it like that, but that's really it's a good move. Before we run out of time, I don't know what time is it? I have 5 minutes. I want to bring up this topic because I think it's important when we're looking at our age. Like, I was going through menopause, perimenopause, and I kept thinking, oh my God, this is awful. This is the most horrible thing ever. And then I went to Jeff Sherman, my first holistic doctor, and I come to find out it's not so much the menopause as I was wildly toxic. And having the toxicity on top of going through menopause was like hard. It was like a disaster. And I kept thinking in my mind, getting old is a bitch. This is like, I don't want to get old, because in my mind I'm thinking, I'm going through menopause. This is what getting old looks like. I'm getting creakier and creakier, and I'm, unfortunate. And I think it's important to get, it's not that we're getting old, it's that our body maybe doesn't have the right nutrients. Maybe we are too toxic. Maybe we're this or that or whatever. So when we go to somebody like you can say, oh, this isn't that you're getting old, you're full of metal. Mm-hmm. Or you've got parasites, or whatever the thing is. And once you go through that system and clean out and make those dominoes go,
yes,
then you're feeling better. Like I feel so much better now than I did when I was younger. I mean, 50.
Yes. And I have a course called The Alchemy of Aging Well, and one of the modules is Love Your Liver. One of the most important things you can keep happy is your liver. So, what's the first 4 letters of liver? L-I-V-E. We need our liver to live. So if you have an overloaded or toxic liver, which is just it's a filter of the body, if your filter is maxed out, you're not going to process hormones, so you're going to go through awful perimenopausal symptoms. You're not going to process chemicals in the environment. You're not going to process stress hormones. You're not going to process the cup of coffee that you have in the morning or the glass of wine you have at night. So all of a sudden you're going to go, oh my gosh, I can't have coffee and I can't have wine. So it feels like your life is over. So we got to love our liver, and there's many ways to do that. Also, it's not just that we go through these changes and we're on an island alone. It's that we have so many things going on that we are unaware of. Mm-hmm. So getting educated and building the awareness of the things you can do and the things you can take and different lifestyle hacks to just make some changes can make all the difference. Look, we are healthier than we were. I'm 63. I feel better than probably when I was 33 because I was maxed out and stressed. And I had a lot of health challenges when I was young, and I think that the body is an amazing machine, and we could feel better at any age. And that's why I even created that course called The Alchemy of Aging Well, because I am passionate about trying to teach people how they can feel better as we're aging. But we expect ourselves to have the same energy we did 30 years ago, 20 years ago. We expect our bodies to do the same things. We also have to have a little bit of reverence for where we're at. We have to have a little bit of grace. We have to embrace what we can and can't do anymore. I can't drink coffee every day.
Oh, I can't drink it hardly at all.
Yeah, I mean, I have a cup of coffee for Sunday brunch, and it's a happy day, trust me. But I pay for it later because I don't go to sleep till 1 or 2 in the morning. Right. And just learning what your body can do and can't do, what you can eat and can't eat, and having fun with it, looking at it as just, wow, this is a science experiment. I'm biohacking my body.
Right.
Not that that you're a failure now that you can't run a marathon or do what you used to do. Also, when it comes to hormones, we have so many disruptors in our environment. We have plastics and pesticides and all the hormones that they feed the animals that we ingest every day.
Yeah.
That are disrupting our own hormones. It's not just women. It's boys and girls. It's men and women at every age. Girls are going into puberty at 8 years old. There's boys that are 10 years old that are growing breasts. It's rampant. So we're also at a little bit of a disadvantage compared to our grandmothers when it comes to hormones.
Yeah.
They might have gone through natural menopause. We don't even go through natural menopause because of environmental factors. So what you were dealing with was a lot of what I'd call like stacking. You had the toxins built up from your work. You had environmental things. You had stressors. You weren't eating right for your body. and your detox systems weren't working the way that they should have. So that was a perfect storm for feeling awful.
Yeah. And might I just add, when the liver is overly taxed, one thing you can know, if you're getting angry a lot,
yes,
and for no good reason, going from 0 to bitch in about a second,
yes,
your liver's acting up.
Yes.
The liver is the seat of anger, and from what I understand, your kidneys are the seat of anxiety.
Yes.
So if you find yourself overly emotional, that gets back to that metaphysical anatomy.
Yes.
The liver, it's like, that means maybe you want to start doing those things that you've already said. Mm-hmm. So before we run out of time, you have all these courses on your website. Mm-hmm. You have all your products on your website. Mm-hmm. You are a wealth of information. Please give them your information on how to get a hold of you.
So my center is called the Holistic Haven. You can find a lot of the products I've talked about on my website, holistichaven.com. You can call in, you can get information, I can create packages for you. And the courses, the Holistic Haven website will link to the Nancy Sachs website where my courses are. But if you want to go directly there, it's nancysachs.com. And I've got 3 courses on there. And I'm also launching a 90 Days to Get Your Energy Back course. Oh. It'll begin March 11. And it's a kind of a by invitation only. I'm only going to have a very small group of people. And I'm really excited because I got to say, with everybody coming in, what I hear day in and day out is,
I'm so tired.
I'm exhausted. I'm tired. I have brain fog. I can't think. I can't do anything. I have no motivation. I'm exhausted from the minute I wake up. I hear that young and old, male, female. It's not just the over 45 female working mom group. Believe me, it's everybody. That is partly from the environmental toxins. That is partly from our foods. It is partly from the amount of pressure that we have, the doing too much, the being on our devices. It's a lot of things, and I will in that 90 days with each person that comes on board, if it's a good fit, I'm going to be reading your blood work and telling you why you have fatigue and why you have brain fog. And I'm going to create a 90-day protocol of supplements for you, and it's going to be in 3 increments. We're going to do our first month, which is kind of nourish, and then we're going to reboot and then rebuild. So there will be some detox as well.
So this will be via Zoom? So you'll be giving information via Zoom, and then you'll be having them send in their blood work to you?
Yes.
So you'll know them individually. That sounds like an amazing course.
Yes. And what's so empowering about that, and speaking of being personally empowered, is I want to teach you how to know why, or how to maybe read your own blood work and to know why you're feeling the way you are. It's not enough to just take some supplements. We've got to uncover the root problem, and getting you to understand what went wrong and why you're feeling the way you're feeling is the most empowering and the biggest gift I can give you.
So they'll be reading their own blood work. You're not going to be reading it. You're going to be guiding them through how to understand that.
Yes, I'm going to show them from a functional medicine standpoint why. Because you can go to your doctor and your doctor says your cholesterol is a little high, but everything else looks good, or your iron is a little low. I teach people why, in ratios. Well, your cholesterol might be a little bit high, but it's showing me maybe that there's some inflammation here, or your thyroid's not working, or your blood sugar's off, and that's what made the cholesterol go high, or that your liver is not doing its filtering job. When it comes to thyroid, I hear this. I've been in practice 32 years, so I hear this thousands of times a year. Yeah, I have every symptom of low thyroid, but my blood work shows that it's normal. Well, I'm here to tell you that there's a lot more to blood work than just the numbers being in this little box. So that's what I try and explain to you. That's part of the course. Part of the course is getting personalized supplements. Part of the course is learning lifestyle, making lifestyle changes. And part of the course is like what we're talking about, which is there's a lot of things going on in our world that are affecting us that we don't give the credit to. We just keep thinking it's us. I need to have more caffeine. I need to do this. I need to do that. I need to take this supplement. Not always.
Right.
Sometimes you have to learn. And You know, there's that old adage, you can give a man a fish or you can teach a man to fish for the rest of his life. You can give a woman a fish or teach her to fish for the rest of her life. My goal is to teach you to fish.
You and I are so similar that way. I love that about you. I just love that about you.
Yeah. We don't have time to treat everybody every week. People have to get what's going on and run with it.
And along with that, when they know and they learn it, they start sharing it.
That's so true.
You know, and it's not just us. Like, for instance, my clients will say, oh, I told so-and-so about whatever I learned from you. Or, you know, and it's like it spreads out. And I love that because I think this is a very big moment for us to do word of mouth. We're over time.
Oh, okay.
Are we over time?
We could just chit-chat all
no, we can
night.
Talk all night. We have to go. We have to be done now.
Let's do this again.
I want you back every month. Okay. Can we do that?
We could do it monthly.
How would you like her here every month? We could do that, yes?
Or every season. It's winter. I could come back in spring.
No, more often than that.
Okay.
Thank you so much.
Oh, it's my pleasure. I always love spending time with you.
I do too.
And great minds think alike. And I hope that this has been inspiring because you can see that both of us have this joy of sharing the information. And you know, like if you learn to feel better and find ways to heal your ailments and heal your whatever's going on, mental, emotional, physical, spiritual, the cool thing is 7 people around you will get the benefit of that healing. So it really is true. And we need a better world. We need a better world to be living in.
Right.
So let's keep doing this.
And make it a better world. Thank you all so much for joining us. And please feel free to share this video. I will be back here next week with Michelle Guzzi. And we're going to be talking about all kinds of interesting things about this and this. Have you for the physical, and I'm going to have her for that mental. She is amazing. And if you missed Nick's show last night on Mainstream Metaphysics, she was his guest. So we're going to continue the conversation, her and I, next Wednesday. So chime in here at the same time on Conscious Mind Tripping. And in the meantime, thank you.
My pleasure.
Thank you.
For having
Love
me.
you all so much. And I'll see you next week.